Right, in the video so far in this series, I've covered first of all the use of the three primary triads, chords 1, 4 and 5, then chords 2 and chord 6, and in the last video I covered the use of chord 3. That leaves one remaining triad, that's the triad formed on the 7th degree of a scale, or the leading note. So in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th note is B. I'll bring it down here. And remember, these triads, we add a third and a fifth above the root note. So D is the third, F is the fifth. Remember, the other notes must come from the notes of the C major scale to make it a diatonic chord. The three primary triads in a major key, 1, 4 and 5, are all major chords. Chords 2, 3 and 6 are minor chords. You'll notice that chord 7 sounds different to all the others. It's a diminished chord or diminished triad. The third is a minor third above the root, and the fifth is a diminished fifth above the root. If you don't understand intervals, I've put a link in the description below to another video I did which explains intervals. A quick way though of finding a diminished triad is to take the root note and count up 3 semitones, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 more semitones, 1, 2, 3, and you get the diminished triad. The diminished triad on the leading note contains 3 of the notes of the dominant 7th chord in that key. So if I play the dominant 7th in the key of C is G7. If I take the G away and just keep the top 3 notes, we have the B diminished triad, the chord 7. And it functions very much in the same way. Both of those chords, the dominant 7th and the diminished triad, contain this interval, B to F. It's a very unstable interval. It has a strong feeling of tension which wants to resolve. And it usually resolves like that. So in G7 going to C, and the same thing if I use the diminished triad rather, going to the tonic. Again, we get that feeling of tension and resolution. Now, at the beginning, what I did was a simple harmonization of the first 3 notes of this scale, Do, Re, Mi. And I harmonized the first note with a chord 1, C major, in first inversion. And then the second note with chord 7 in first inversion. So it's a B diminished triad with the D in the bass, going to chord 1 in root position. It works the other way as well. So really the diminished triad there acts as a kind of passing chord in between the C major chord in root position and first inversion. It works well when the melody and the bass are going in contrary motion in opposite directions. It's always strong when you can arrange the melody and the bass to move in contrary motion. It can also be used to harmonize the notes 5, 4, 3. That's 1 in first inversion, 7 once again in first inversion, going to 1. Now this time the melody and the bass are moving in similar motion. They go in the same way, but they are a compound third or a 10th apart. And that's always a strong way of voicing the chords. Now, you could use chord 5 in both those cases instead of chord 7. You could go... So to harmonise the D that time, I was just simply using chord 5, but in second inversion. So it sounds very similar, but not quite the same. Just have a listen. This is using 5. 7. So you can just hear that slight difference there. For the time being, the use of the chord 7 is fairly restricted, and it's used as a substitute for the dominant chord. Hope you found that useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.